doing?
Just hanging around.
Oh shit.
I just busted right inside him, and he can't extend on me anymore, and he seems a little overwhelmed.
Power World is not out yet, bro.
Right?
Yikes. Okay, I don't know if this is a hot take here. Yes, I agree that Jokic has had way more success than Melo, obviously, as a player. Jokic deserves that number retired for sure. But I don't think Jokic should have ever even been in a position to be able to get that number in the first place because of what Melo meant, to Denver. And I know a lot of people consider Melo more of like a New York Knick than a Denver Nugget. But, there was a real time where when he was on the Nuggets, like he was really that fucking guy. He gave them a sense of relevancy that they hadn't had in a while. And in the age of like those superstars, like I feel like that was really big for Denver. It's the way Melo forced his way out of Denver. Who gives a fuck? Shit happens every day. And then also giving his number, like, okay, yes, Jokic ended up becoming the fucking GOAT. But that motherfucker was the last draft pick. You know what I'm saying? And even if Melo did do that in a sense of maturity, right? Like in the way that like you guys should be able to grow from that, right? Like, for example, LeBron and Cleveland had beef with one another, but like obviously they're still gonna honor LeBron because, and I guess you could say it's different because LeBron brought them, success. Whereas Melo only brought them to the conference finals, I think. I'm pretty sure conference finals. So yeah, like obviously now it's too late. You wouldn't strip Jokic of his number because he's more than earned that. But I feel like it should have never happened. Like I think people can sometimes forget, especially on the internet. A lot of people are a lot younger, so I don't necessarily blame them. But like there was a time when we were talking about D Wade, Kobe, Braun, Melo was in that conversation. And it wasn't like bro was far off. He was like in that conversation. Like, I just feel like I think Denver wildly disrespected him. And I don't think the answer is to in turn disrespect Jokic at all. But like I see a lot of people acting like Melo meant nothing to Denver and Melo never did nothing for Denver. And I think that's just stupid. Bro, you had motherfuckers rocking Melo jerseys as like fashion statements type shit. Like, bro, nobody jacking with Denver. And I can prove that to you. Because since Melo, who the fuck's been jacking Denver? Nobody. Even now, as Denver is the best team in the NBA, nobody's buying fucking Jokic jerseys. Except if you're an actual Denver fan. When I say nobody, I mean like niggas ain't wearing a Jokic jersey or a Jamal Murray jersey or something like that's not happening. Niggas was buying Melo jerseys, bro. Like he clearly means a lot to the Denver Nuggets franchise, and I think the way they've disrespected him is fucking crazy. Like it's fucking crazy. And I know a lot of the jits on the internet like, oh, he never won him. He never gave him a ring. He never did nothing. Bro, first of all, do you know how stacked the West was? And he had the Spurs, the Grizzlies, Kobe. Like, yeah, nigga, that's some hard competition to go up against. A lot of teams not fucking making it. Anyways, I get really passionate about the Melo shit because, like, Melo, and I really don't like what's happening right now because it feels like we're kind of erasing Melo's legacy in front of our eyes. And because the way that narratives get, Kevin Durant comes out as get. Anyways, the way that narratives keep getting spun, like I really think that that Melo's contributions to the league are going to be an afterthought. And I can genuinely see in like 5 to 10 years nobody talking about Melo no more. But like if you was a fan of ball in Melo's prime, like Melo's that guy. And I think that's just wildly disrespectful. Somebody that meant so much to the game of basketball getting like almost blackballed. I just think it fucking sucks. I feel like the new fans try to do that with Wade too. The thing is that fans might try to do that with D Wade, but the media and NBA will never let that happen. Like they just surprised D Wade with the statue that's going to be outside of the Miami Center, the Miami Arena type shit. So D Wade he's cemented in history. I do remember there being a time during like James Harden's prime in Houston, motherfucker was like, oh, he's at this point a better shooting guard than like, he was like number 3, I think people were saying. It was like Jordan, Kobe, and then James Harden. And I was like, no. Calm down, boy. It goes Jordan, Kobe, and D Wade. You better calm the fuck down. Not disrespecting D Wade like that. Single-handedly bringing a championship to that 2006 Heat team. Ooh, this is another player. I feel like people are also downplaying Dwight Howard a lot. Like, I remember there was this thing on Twitter, something about a comparison about Dwight Howard being one of the best big men of all time or something like that, or like being like as dominant as Shaq or something like that. And it was the top 75 thing. That's what it was. And I tweeted out that like, yo, this is wild disrespect, not putting Dwight at top 75. And motherfucker was like, bro, all he did was grab like 13 boards a game and like average like 18, 20 points, blah, 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 whatever. Like he wasn't even really that good, blah, blah. It's like, bro, the worst thing about the internet is the fact that I have to listen to the opinions of 14-year-olds. I think that is the worst thing about the fucking internet. That should be fucking criminal that I have to experience that. Dwight Howard is easily one of the best centers we've ever seen in the NBA. Okay? Like you can even say like, oh yeah, he might have fallen off, but did y'all forget? The Lakers don't win that 2020 ring without Dwight Howard. He stepped up huge for us in that playoff run. Now, did he make some mistakes and almost choke us out of some games and actually did lose us some games? Yeah, he definitely did that. He was a lot older for sure. But we not winning without Dwight Howard. And that's way after his prime. Yes, I agree his prime was short. But when have we ever like let somebody's short prime dictate them as a player? We still love D Rose. We still love a lot of players that had short primes. But all of a sudden, like for certain players like Dwight Howard is different. Why? Like Dwight Howard was so fucking good. Yeah, Dwight was like the first hurdle Bron faced in his career. He could not get past him, bro. Should the Brooklyn Nets kill 5 of their players to trigger a disaster draft to improve their roster? Is this ZD's post? You know what's funny? I remember when I read this on the NBA Reddit when this got posted.
This to ourselves. Have we as NBA fans collectively decided we're just going to have the most dog water opinions in all of sports? I think so. I too am guilty of this. And today, we're gonna take a look at some of the hottest and some of the best NBA takes I've come across recently. So buckle up, it's about to get ugly. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. With football season upon us and basketball in full swing, save yourself the time and
Does
hassle
anybody
of looking
actually
for
use
good tickets
SeatGeek?
and killer deals. It's fast, it's which tickets are a good deal, the green ones, and which tickets are a bad. And right now, SeatGeek is offering $20 off your first purchase when using promo code Jimmy.
Anytime I want to like go somewhere, I look up like Boston Celtics tickets, and I just like click whatever comes up.
Link to download the SeatGeek.
I don't think I've ever used SeatGeek because like I've never like I've checked out SeatGeek and I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's really saving me anything.
And get $20 off your first purchase.
Also, I think it helps that in the Garden, there kind of like are no like bad seats really, because the Garden is kind of like an intimate setting. So even if you get like seats all the way up type shit, you still can see the court pretty well. That's one thing that's nice about the Garden.
I have something to admit. I have a sick obsession with bad NBA takes. I can't help myself. Why I choose to dive headfirst into this dark and desolate rabbit hole far too often is beyond me. It's an addiction, really. I need help. And while scrolling for way too long the other day, I came across this, a gold mine. Will this Reddit thread contain some of the most
Number one
devious
Celtics
nonsense
fan?
I've
Unfortunately,
ever
no.
laid
That's just
eyes
the
on? Yes.
nearest
Do I wanna read
arena
all of
to me.
it? Absolutely. Because I too want to go insane. And after seeing this comment, I knew it was time for another hot takes video.
Let's get
Our
it.
first take comes from former NBA player Rashard McCants, who came up with a diabolical take while on a podcast with Gilbert Arenas a few weeks ago.
I think that the real hoopers know that Kevin Durant is going to go down as a better, I think, better basketball player
Than LeBron
than
James.
LeBron.
Bring back public torture.
Today we're placing Chris's
Oh,
Gilbert
brother. 15 minutes ago. Do you get the alerts, my boy? Jesus Christ. This is such a dumb take.
At the end of the road.
I think if we talk about scoring skill set, KD might be the best of all time. Like if we're talking like a person's bag, KD might have the deepest bag in NBA history. But to call him the best, no. Or to call him better than Bron, like as a just a player, like a better hooper, like I don't know about that.
Not right now. Just as much hype as LeBron. You know, Texas and DC.
Do you think it's possible for LeBron to fumble his legacy at all? No. There's no way. Because, like, he just dunked on Paul George, like, yesterday, and he's 47. If he never dunks again, if he never plays again, there's no possible way. The only way, no, there's no possible way. Because he's always going to have, like, he's old as fuck, man. Like, honestly, he just started slowing down. Like, I feel like the past 2 seasons, or maybe 3, we finally saw Bron, like, okay, this nigga can bleed. Like, he can finally, like, he's finally not invulnerable, you know? LeBron he's just a GOAT, honestly. Especially to be as great as he's been for as long as he's been great, we're never going to see something like this again, I don't think. It's kind of like Brady in football. Like, are we ever going to see a run like that in sports ever? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know like football got a few of those. I don't know about baseball. I know like football got some GOATs that have been doing it for a long time. And by football I mean like soccer. But yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see like a LeBron Brady type of run like that. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Saw all that stuff. It's like, well, why is KD not being seen as top 3 all time?
Because
I do remember that, big facts.
the media killed off the legacy when he left.
When he left, yep.
And that, yeah, and he deserved that. I'm sorry, like, you can say what you want to say. I don't really care, but Kevin Durant absolutely ruined his legacy when he went to Golden State. I don't care what you say. You cannot compare what any other superstar has done in terms of forming a super team to what Durant did. That will always be a fuck nigga move. Now, I think Durant, like I said, is one of the best players in NBA history.
That's interesting.
I think he is very talented, and I even like him as a player.
I remember a tweet in 2015 saying we won't have to deal with this nigga for much longer. That was 9 years ago.
Thank you for the 100 bits, Nigel. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But going back to Durant, yeah, obviously he's one of the GOATs. I'm not taking anything away from his skill set, but when we start to bring up like GOAT level players and we start to bring up achievement versus achievement, I'm sorry, like, even if there's been valid excuses for KD in the past, he got those achievements with the greatest team ever assembled. And I'm not even saying like the greatest team ever assembled, like as some slight shit. Like, it's the greatest team ever assembled, and it's not even particularly close. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were already the greatest team ever assembled before KD. And then they added a top 15 player. Like, come on, man.
Now, the take itself is one thing, because in no universe would KD ever be regarded as a better basketball player than LeBron. But I actually want to address why this clip is a prime example of how just because someone played in the NBA doesn't necessarily mean they're an expert on basketball.
True
see it all
shit.
the time. Fans using opinions of current and former NBA players to justify their stance on something NBA related. But the truth is, you can be exceptional at something and still have a wild or even completely wrong take on it.
Okay, I like how you zoomed in on Paul Pierce and Kendrick Perkins because, look, I feel like Paul Pierce is one of those dudes who like really should have retired from the league and then never said a word, and he still would have had like a really good and fond legacy. Like, obviously, I live in New England. I live like 40 minutes from Boston. So, you know, it's a lot of Boston fans around here. Bro, Paul Pierce was like a god here. Like, growing up, you know, seeing, you know, Paul Pierce's like dominance and seeing like, you know, that 08 championship run and all that stuff. Paul Pierce is like literally considered as a god in New England until he started talking. And now everybody kind of just wants him to shut the fuck up. Because he's actually he actually has some of the worst takes out of all NBA media.
I mean, just a couple months ago, Shaq unironically asked what's the difference between Wemby and Bol Bol.
That was
Jackson,
stupid.
A once really good NBA player, said he was better than Manu Ginobili, Ray Allen, and Vince Carter.
Yeah. I mean, Steven Jackson was like, no. I was trying to give him some benefit of the doubt. Nah. Pete Bro is just like us. What is this?
Are you excited to be at the draft?
Wow, so excited.
Who's your favorite NBA player?
LeBron James.
Who's your favorite?
Yo, this is just voided, by the way. I'm sorry.
Lakers.
Who do you think is going to win the NBA Finals next season?
Of course, I'm going to say the Lakers.
Are you excited?
Yes, sir. Oh, that Dior shirt on too? Type shit.
Give me a guy that you think you're better than, that it'll be a Hall of Famer. Ray Allen.
Definitely Ray Allen.
Vince Carter.
I think as a player, yes.
Manu Ginobili.
I definitely think I was better.
Bro. I feel like Manu Ginobili is another one of those players that's going to get lost to time, and motherfuckers are going to like forget existed. But motherfuckers was calling Manu Ginobili Euro Kobe back in the day. Like, that's what we called him in my school type shit, because he had finesse, like kind of like almost like a Kobe type shit. Like, he kind of had that finesse type shit. And the best thing about Manu is that he didn't have an ego. He was fine coming off the bench to make that Spurs team work the way it did, and he was a fucking dog. He was a fucking dog. Manu Ginobili was so good. That Spurs team is not as successful without Ginobili. Obviously, that team was great, very deep. You know, some of the best coaching of all time, Greg Popovich. You know, you got the best power forward of all time in Timmy Duncan. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that team is good. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But they needed Ginobili. They needed Ginobili so fucking good, man.
Ginobili.
You can be great at something.
One of the best things about being an old head now is I get to be like, man, y'all don't know nothing about that. I finally get to say that shit now. Chat. Y'all started watching the NBA when Steph Curry was popping. Y'all know nothing about that. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know about no goddamn Tim Duncan. Y'all don't know about no goddamn Manu Ginobili, bro. Come on now. Just like the Melo rant I had in the beginning of this video. Y'all don't know nothing about Melo, bro. Y'all don't know nothing about Melo, bro. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
And still be wrong. And this idea that
y'all don't know about Jimmy
will understand his stance is just a baseless
James
claim to
Crawford.
negate anyone's opinions that
James
don't align
Crawford.
with his. I get it. Some play the game, some watch the game. I understand the difference between a hooper and someone who
call
just
that nigga
plays
James, I'm racist.
or even just casually watches basketball. But being good at playing the game and really understanding the game and what makes players great are two separate things. I'm no expert, but guys like
LaMelo low-key fell off. LaMelo's one of those dudes who I was rooting for, but look, I get it. He's just a kid at the end of the day, but my God, every time he opens his mouth, maybe I am an old head because hearing that jit be that specific kind of a jit just pissed me off. Every time he talk, I get mad.
Zach Lowe and Kevin O'Connor are excellent NBA analysts who really understand all the finer nuances of the game.
I don't think I ever heard him speak. You're lucky, man.
Level. This all reminds me of the quote, "Those who can do."
Oh, y'all ever seen somebody say, "Oh, Melo's so cold," and I'm like, finally somebody giving Melo his flowers, and then it's like a highlight tape of LaMelo Ball passes, and I'm like, you not Melo, bro. You not Melo, bro. Have you heard Zubac speak? I saw that clip earlier, yeah. That shit broke my ankles.
Those who can't, teach. Some of the greatest coaches were just pretty good basketball players, but not even close to NBA talent.
Shout out Spoelstra.
Some of the best players are absolutely lost without a jersey on and a ball in their hands. You do not have to be a real hooper to really understand the game and have a passion for it and have well thought out, informed, and
luckily me, I'm both. I have nothing but great takes, and I'm better than Kevin Durant. And that's just what it is. What up, Lotus? Yeah, we was talking a little bit of hoops. I might upload this to my YouTube channel, bro. Fuck it. I feel like it's been a good conversation.
Take comes from a fan that's certainly not alone in his opinion. And that's because he thinks Giannis is overpaid for a guy who can only run and dunk.
Man, this take is so dumb.
Now, this has been the narrative on Giannis even before he won a championship nearly 3 years ago. Big guy run, big guy dunk. But I don't get this line of reasoning. That's like saying Stephen Curry is overpaid for a guy that only shoots threes. Or that Magic Johnson was
spit
good
on
for
it.
a guy that could only pass. Even the greats have their strengths and weaknesses. Shaquille O'Neal literally made a living by being bigger and stronger than everyone else. Imagine seeing this and saying, that's not bad for a guy who just drops steps and dunks everything. Well,
2K ass build.
No one could stop it. This is exactly what made him so good. Now, if a player has a very one-dimensional game that falls apart and is ineffective when it matters, like the playoffs,
like Jaylen Brown,
to this statement. But Giannis has won a title. The man dropped 50 to close out a final series just running and dunking. That's his role. That's what he's good at, and it works. Also,
he's a world-class defender. And this was definitely more of a thing earlier on in his career. I don't think he does it anymore. But he also used to run the offense for Milwaukee as well. So he's a pretty decent passer as well.
In fact, he's expanded his game over the last few years with three-pointers and more perimeter play. And ironically, whenever he does this, people just say, why is he shooting threes instead of just running and dunking the ball? If you're getting the job done, how you get it done is irrelevant.
Spit on it.
This next take comes from an NBA fan that says that Steph Curry is top 10 all time.
This is true. This is true. I'm sorry, this is true. Curry was already in that contention. That 2022 championship sealed it. Sealed it. Nobody was expecting them to win that shit. Who do you kick out of the top 10? It don't matter. They're getting kicked out. Like, that shit was crazy.
And not only do I agree with this, I don't even think this is a hot take anymore. And yet, somehow,
true shit.
in the great year of 2024, there are still people out there who don't think Steph is in the pantheon of...
Like, I'm definitely... I don't know how people are going to feel about this if I do upload this to YouTube, but I'm definitely a hater of, like... of, like... pre-civil rights basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, if black people couldn't go where they wanted, when they wanted, then I don't give a fuck about your achievements, okay? So to me, Wilt Chamberlain may as well have been a bus driver for all I give a fuck, okay? Like, is that motherfucker that cold? Is that motherfucker the GOAT? Shit, maybe. But I'm sorry, bro. When he's going up against George Costanza and Jerry Seinfeld in like 1927, I don't care. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I'm definitely a fucking hater. I don't give a shit, man. Yo, for like, nobody ordered wings, sat around the 55-inch screen TV and watched Wilt Chamberlain drop 100. Motherfuckers was working in coal mines and factories where there was still child labor in these factories, and they crowded around a radio as they spread each other the rations that they were allowed that week because it was the Great fucking Depression. Like, bro, I'm sorry. I don't care.
Of NBA greats. His impact on the game, his dominance, his revolutionary skill set, his place as inarguably the greatest shooter of all time, all make him clearly a top 10 player. But I think it's his shortcomings and small hiccups throughout his career that keep some fans from putting him amongst the...
What shortcomings? The only thing that I could ever think of Curry's shortcomings is obviously blowing the 3-1 lead. But he blew it to the best player of all time. So, like, I guess that is a blemish. I'm not gonna front and act like that's not a blemish. Blowing a 3-1 lead with the greatest team ever assembled, that is a blemish for sure.
That's my bestie.
But maybe LeBron is just that guy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe LeBron's just that guy.
Basketball, but these discussions are interesting.
Yo, Robo, thank you for the 23 months, man.
The greatest to ever play. Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, the 3-1 comeback, this nonsense narrative that all he does is run around moving screens and chuck up threes. But while considering all
if it works,
imperfections, we tend to forget that every all-time great has had their shortcomings or even questionable victories. Hakeem won his 2 championships in the 2 seasons Michael Jordan was retired and wasn't around to defend his title. Kareem, regarded by most as the 3rd greatest player ever, has 6 championships but only 2 finals MVPs since he played with the greatest point guard of all time for a decade. Kobe was the 2nd best player for 3 of his championships.
I hate when people say that because it kind of sounds like it's diminishing Kobe. But, like, I mean, it is true, though. Like, nobody would deny Shaq wasn't the best player on the fucking planet during these rings. But there was also times where Kobe saved that bum nigga life. But then there's also times where Shaq saved Kobe's life. You know, maybe they're just 1A, 1B, huh? How about that? Sorry, Kobe Dick Rider here.
Duncan won his first title in a weird half-ass lockout season and was not the best player on the Spurs in their last title run. Larry Bird was playing with the damn dream team when he did all of his damage.
Larry Bird also, you know, I'm not even going to say that. I'll respect Larry Bird. I'll respect Larry Bird.
As time goes by, we tend to overlook or even forget about the bad and focus on the good. I think this will happen with Steph as he nears the end of his career.
Yeah.
And everyone will start to see that he is without a doubt one of the 10 greatest players of all time.
I agree with that.
This take comes from a fan who has fallen victim to a narrative.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my white boy right there. Luka, my white. You alright, white boy? I like me some Luka.
That has ran rampant over the last year. Ever since LeBron James broke the NBA's all-time scoring record last season, fans have been theorizing who might be the player to break it. And like many others, this fan says it will be Luka Doncic.
This is a very big if. Like, Luka obviously has the scoring capability to break Bron's record, but he's still very young, and you got to have a long career to break that fucking record. And if Luka keeps paying for Dash Pass every month, I don't know if he's going to have that long of a career.
My brothers, Luka Doncic is not breaking LeBron's scoring record.
Yeah, I agree.
In fact, no one in the NBA today, or even any upcoming prospects, will break LeBron's scoring record.
I think there's definitely players who have the scoring prowess that they could do it, but I don't get that sense of longevity from anybody currently playing basketball.
I would even go as far as saying this record will not be broken within our lifetime. Records are made to be broken.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
only a matter of time. Yeah. Whatever LeBron ends up with, no one is touching it. I get that Luka is the obvious prime candidate to get the job done, but even he is already way off pace from where LeBron was at this point in his career. Luka is nearly 5.5 seasons into his NBA career and has 10,177 total career points. At the exact same point in his career, LeBron already had 11,621 career points. That's nearly a full season worth of points off pace already. And the scoring gap between LeBron and many other young stars around the league is even bigger. In fact, at the pace he is on, Luka would have to keep scoring the ball like he has been and play in the NBA until 2042 to break the record LeBron will more than likely end up with. But not only did LeBron get out to argue
LeBron is so good, bro.
NBA history, he never had a major injury in over 20 years. And he's also having the greatest finish to a career in NBA history. Does this look like a man who is going to play over 20 years in the NBA? Even with the way scoring continues to increase, players don't even play enough games anymore to keep up with LeBron's pace.
He's right.
LeBron plays 2 more seasons after this year, putting up the same numbers he is now. And say a player manages to be the most lethal scorer ever. MJ has the highest career points per game average in NBA history at 30.1 points. So this new player is literally scoring like Michael Jordan from the moment.
Nah, I could do it. Shit. My last NBA game that I played in 2K, I scored like 140 some points. I had like 25 3-pointers made in that game alone. If I just did that over like a long career, like I could do that. That's light.
He steps foot in the league. Now, if that player played 70 games a season, averaging 30.1 points a game for every year, he would have to play for 22 seasons to break LeBron's scoring record. 30 a game for 22 years straight, with no margin for injuries, breaks, or any regression. It is not happening. Some records are just unbeatable. Bill Russell's 11 rings will...
Yeah, Bill Russell's 11 rings, I don't think we're ever seeing that. I still think the 100 points is possible, but I think it would require somebody pretty much like stat padding, like doing some shit that we do on 2K when we play in the rec, like where we're just beating this team and then they just give up, they start flopping and shit, and we're just like chucking up threes. That one is, I think, is more possible. We're never seeing that 11 rings get broken. That's never going to happen.
Will never be topped. John Stockton's assist record, it's not going anywhere. LeBron's scoring record will be the same. You and I will never see this record get broken. Now, our last take is a scorcher, and I couldn't agree more with it. This guy says that many, if not most, NBA fans don't actually watch games. They just watch clips, highlights, and gather stats to form their opinions.
This is just true. This is just true.
Absolutely true. If you want to really know what's going on from game to game and have a solid idea of who's having a good year, who's not, why some players are making leaps while others are taking steps back, why some teams are winning and others aren't, you need to watch the games. It's a wild concept, I know. But time and time again, fans will have their entire perception of the league curated purely off of stats and highlights. Isaiah Joe
This is why I also think, like going back to what I was talking about earlier with the Melo disrespect, that's why I also think that's a thing, because people weren't like watching the games. They weren't engaging in NBA culture really during Melo's prime. So they just go back, look at his stats and saw that he never won a ring and then say that he's a bum. And it's like, bro, you motherfuckers like take all nuance out of any sort of NBA discussion, and it's just annoying.
Having an awesome year. He's played a vital role in OKC's rotation and fills a lot of gaps for them on both ends of the court. You would not know this unless you watch them play. In fact, you might not even know who Isaiah Joe is if you don't watch OKC play. Russell Westbrook has been a demon on defense for the past month, guarding the opposing team's best perimeter players, breaking up sets, getting into passing lanes, just being a pest, and pushing the pace for the Clippers. He has been awesome in his role this season. You would not know this if you don't watch the games. Nikola Jokic has seen a dip in production over the last 10 games or so. His numbers are down. This might have you believing he's having a bad stretch of games here. He is not. The man is on cruise control. They are winning games, and that's all he cares about. But you would not know this if you don't watch the games. Now, there's nothing wrong with casual fandom. Not everyone wants to sit around and watch a game between the Blazers and the Jazz at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. But context matters, and not enough fans are getting it. Watch the games, my friends. But that's all I got for now. Y'all know the drill.
W.
Leave your hottest NBA takes in the comments below.
W. I wonder how players will perform if they go into a game with the mindset of trying to break a record on purpose. I think that would make the records, like the 100 points, if people were like hunting for that record and trying to get that record, I think it would happen. I don't want to say quickly, but I think it would expedite how fast that would happen. But I feel like that's just not the way motherfuckers is hooping, because like he said it even in this video where a lot more players are like playing a lot less games and shit like that. So I don't think somebody's gonna want to overexert themselves for like a random midseason game. And you got to think that like if you're on pace to scoring 100 points in a game, you're probably beating that team pretty well. And most NBA players would much rather sit the rest of the game and rest up than stat pad for 100 points. But I think a lot of superstars in the NBA today could get 100 points if they really wanted to. But it's just like it's not really worth going for, you know? But yeah, this was an interesting video. JxmyHighroller is just a fucking basketball YouTubing goat, to be honest.